You need to stop oversharing. And in today's podcast episode, I'm going to show you why and exactly what you can do instead. So, hey, without further wait, let's get into it, my friend. Let's get into it. Now, in a business context, here's what I believe. I believe that we want people to feel empathy for us, not sympathy. We want empathy for our story and our message, not sympathy. But here's the problem. We can literally log on to LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, whatever social media platform, and scroll for less than 10 seconds. And we can stumble upon a video which evokes an emotion. We can stumble upon somebody's gut-wrenching story which yields thousands of likes and comments. And we can feel like the following: hey, maybe I should do the same, because clearly that's what's working. Clearly, that's what's going to have an impact on people's lives. I'd like to offer you a different perspective. I'd like to offer you 3 simple steps to prevent oversharing and a vulnerability hangover, which you'll deeply regret. So, hey, let's get into it. Step number 1. Step number 1 is defining your version of authenticity. Defining your version of authenticity. Now, for some people, no judgment, for some people, that is showcasing 100% of their life. That's incredible. That's great for them. Kudos to them. For me, I've taken a different approach. When it comes to content and social media, you'll very rarely see me posting photos or videos about my wife and my kids. You'll definitely see stories about my kids in my upcoming book and also in speeches, but you'll very rarely see on social media pictures, videos of my family. Just because for me, that's a very sacred part of my life that I want to keep sacred. And that's my choice. For me, I'm not saying I want to show the world 100% of everything that goes on in my life. Instead, I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to open you up to 10% of my life. But I'm going to ensure I give you 100% depth. So for me, I talk a lot about communication, as you know. I talk a lot about personal development and things that are important to me. But I'm very, very focused on depth over width. I feel that's very important in today's world, depth over width. And that's how I define authenticity. And by the way, that may evolve. I may have a very different perspective in 6 months, and that's okay. Where I think the problem lies is when we take on somebody else's definition of authenticity, somebody else meaning that random influencer that you follow online, and you see them showing 100% of their life and it works for them. But if you tried it on for size, it wouldn't work for you. Maybe because it's misaligned with your values. Maybe because it's misaligned with your mission. And maybe because it's misaligned with what you actually want to do with your career or business. So what I would invite you to think about, my friend, is how do you define showing up authentically in today's world? Whether it's on social media, whether it's with clients, whether it's with your team. Figure out what your boundaries are and honor them with integrity. Because the moment you violate them to seek validation, that's when the problems begin. Step 2 is really understand the difference between what's private to you and what's personal to you. So for example, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, my daughter, my son, my wife, I share stories in workshops, keynotes, and all that good stuff. But for the most part, that part of my life is extremely sacred. And as a result, that sits in the private bucket for me. And that is something I keep close to my heart. Because what I've realized is when you open up, or when you share whatever you want to share online, social media, with your team, with people on stage, whatever it could be, you're giving them 100% permission to have an opinion on it. Versus if you don't share that stuff, they will have their assumptions. They will have their assumptions. And for me, I think it's very important to keep the private sacred, but let people into the personal. But once again, you get to define what personal is. So an exercise you could do is, say you're looking to deliver a presentation on behalf of your business at a conference and you want to use storytelling inside of it. Think about all the stories that you wish to share and take a look at the ones which feel private versus the ones that feel personal. And when I say personal, I mean non-business related, yet have a business takeaway. For example, let's say that you're delivering a presentation around video marketing at a conference. Now, the underlying root cause, or rather the underlying problem, the root cause of that problem is, for the audience, that they are struggling with imposter syndrome. As a result, in your opening story, you could share a story about struggling with imposter syndrome, but then saying, hey, here's why this matters to every single one of you. Because yes, as a 15-year-old, I was struggling with imposter syndrome in that moment. But then I realized this one thing. I realized that on the other side of fear is everything you always wanted. And hey, that meant taking action no matter how I felt. And for all of you in this room who are secretly struggling with putting yourself out there on video to grow your business on social media, my question to you is, what would happen in the next year if you don't gain more visibility, right? You see where I'm running with it. But there's a personal story which is then tied to a business takeaway for the room that you're in. I forgot even the point I was trying to make now, but I think you get what I'm saying. That really, you want to make sure that all your stories are segregated between personal and private, and even the personal ones have a business takeaway. Now, this segues beautifully into step 3, which is ensuring that what you do share always has a tangible takeaway. So you don't also feel like you're left with a vulnerability hangover. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're going through something right now. Let's say you've got a problem or a struggle with your health. Now, you may talk to loved ones, friends, and family about it. That's cool. But if you walk into work tomorrow and you tell the world about this health issue, which you don't have clarity on just yet, you may get a ton of unsolicited advice and opinions. If you walk into work and tell people about this health issue that you haven't fully processed yet, you may get perspectives which don't allow you to fully process what's happening. And if you walk into work every single day consistently talking about this health issue without actually taking action to find a resolution, unfortunately, some people go, oh, there's Ravi again. He's just whining, right? You know what I mean? And because you've not processed this challenge, health or whatever it is, whatever the struggle is, if you've not processed it and you don't have tangible takeaways and you share it without intention, unfortunately, in today's world, it may work against you. It may work against you if you're working for a leader who doesn't appreciate that vulnerability. If you're working with people who aren't able to truly hold space for you in a conversation and not shove their perspective down your throat. You know what I'm saying? So I always feel like it's important that when you do share something that is deep in your heart to the external world, beyond friends, families, or co-workers you trust, I'm talking to the external world, people outside of that inner circle, then you have to ensure that there is a tangible takeaway so that in a business context, people can understand how the learnings can apply to them in their life. As a result, that story then adds value. It's not just sharing a story for the sake of it. It's not just sharing a story for the sake of it. So, hey, there's 3 simple steps to prevent oversharing and a vulnerability hangover, because the worst thing you can do is say something because you think it's the cool thing to say because your favorite influencer is doing it. But then when you try it on for size, it doesn't work for you and you regret the words that have come out of your mouth and you can't take it back because now that story is in people's hands. So, hey, the lesson is this, my friend, be intentional. Be intentional. Now, in this video, we spoke a lot, and podcast episode, we spoke a lot about asking yourself specific questions. Asking yourself specific questions to unlock your truth. Now, interestingly, when it comes to asking questions to others, we also need to be very intentional in our approach. We also need to make sure that we are creating a safe space for others to be vulnerable and share their story. And how do you do that? Well, you do that through asking conscious questions. And it's something I actually talk about in Habit 2 of my upcoming book, Relationship Currency. So, hey, if you want to learn how to deeply listen to another human being and ask conscious questions, I invite you to hit the link in the description to pre-order my upcoming book. And you'll have to let me know which habit, which chapter you connect with the most. I'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Peace.